This is the brand new Game Boy Advance released in 2024, and although it's not literally the new Nintendo Game Boy Advance or anything like that, this is a product by Anbernic. So this is their Anbernic RG 34XX, 34 being the 3x4 screen or aspect ratio or something. This was a surprise. It's a surprise that it came to me. I pre-ordered it. I didn't think it would ship so fast. It just arrived yesterday, which was Boxing Day 2024. It's definitely a Game Boy Advance. It's definitely supposed to be a Game Boy Advance. It's definitely made with the almost exact same shell, buttons, and that as the Game Boy Advance. Cool. Nice little lanyard. Wipes, SD card, possibly loaded already. A little instruction book, and a screen protector. USB-C to USB-A. Nice. Some things have been changed, and so I'm just going to go over those right away in this quick first impressions. But yeah, if we take a look here, this is a Game Boy Advance that I got off of eBay. The dimensions are exactly, if not exactly the same, they're almost exactly the same. The buttons, I feel like the D-pad, the start button, the start and select button are actually a little bit rubbery on the original, whereas this, it's a hard plastic on the Anbernic. But these buttons, the dimensions look exactly the same. The shoulder buttons, the L and R, which on the new Anbernic are actually L1, R1, because they give you two more shoulder buttons, L2 and R2. But these buttons seem to be the same. The side, I don't know what these are called, the side trim pieces, they seem to be exactly the same. So I have a good feeling that I'll be able to take this new Anbernic piece console apart and replace it with some Game Boy Advance replacement parts to change up the color and mod it myself. But there are a few differences with the new one. The Anbernic comes with two extra face buttons, so it's kind of hard to see with this translucent green shell or transparent green shell. But obviously we have the A and B buttons, but then we also have here, which is hard to see here, an X and a Y button, which is really cool, as well as, like I said before, the new L2 and R2 buttons. And one major difference, which I didn't really realize until maybe a few days ago. Here's the original Game Boy Advance. Here's the Game Boy card in the card slot. That's there, but this one doesn't have that. I didn't realize this wouldn't play original Game Boy or Game Boy Advance games. I mean, technically it can, it's just only through an SD card, meaning you have to load emulators and ROMs onto this unit, which, you know, should be expected. If you know what you're buying, you know what you're getting into. This is an emulation device, pure and simple. And you know, that's really what most people will want to do with this. Most people who are, for example, modding Game Boy Advances, there are a lot who will definitely want to use the original hardware and play original game cartridges on it, but there are a lot of people who are getting cartridges with, like, I forgot what they're called, but the R4 carts, I guess that's for the DS. The cartridges that you, again, load emulators and ROMs onto to play games that you load on yourself. So that's something to keep in mind with this. It's an emulation device. You're not putting any cartridges in here, which, you know, that's not a disadvantage at all. This is certainly the future. Step into the future here. And so with this, you're able to put on, and I was reading the list, I have to go through it again, but you can put on games like NES, SNES, of course, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, and all that, as well as up to apparently PS1 games. It says you can use over 30 different emulators on this. Let me just read. Supports emulation for over 30 retro gaming systems, including Game Boy Advance, NES, SNES, Sega Genesis, PlayStation 1, and more. That's crazy. For something this small, that's really cool. Now let's take a look at the difference in the screen. They still have a headphone port, which is really nice. The volume knob here, so on the original, it's a knob, it's a dial. So you can turn it all the way one way, all the way the other way. But on the new one, it's actually like a, what's the word? Like a rocker switch. So it's digital input. So it'll go this way is like clicking 1 up on the volume. Going this way is like clicking 1 down on the volume. Now on the original, this has been for the Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advances. This type of power switch has been a constant problem, and anyone who got into modding them will know that it was a pain point and a common failure point on the Game Boys, Game Boy Colors, Game Boy Advances. So this is just a switch with a couple contacts inside. Whereas on the new Anbernic device, it's a power button, a digital power button. So this will be the first time I'm turning it on. Let's see, and actually let's turn this one on again so we can see the difference in the screens. So this one I have not modified the screen on this yet. I didn't put an IPS or anything on this one yet. This one comes with an IPS screen, and this one is, I believe, 3.4 inches. It's a 3.4 inch IPS display. Resolution is 720 by 480 compared to the original Game Boy Advance, which was 240 by 160. So a good leap forward there. Now let's press this power button and see what it looks like. LED turned on, it says Anbernic. I haven't done, this is the first time I'm turning it on. I haven't done anything, I haven't loaded anything in. I didn't put the new memory card in there yet, so it might only have the OS, and I'm not sure if it's even installed in here yet. I'm not sure if this is just going to be the only screen I'm going to see, and I have to do some more work to get it loaded up. Okay, so there we go. So here's a screen showing the Game Boy Advance. Actually, this is showing the Anbernic device. It has 4 buttons there. It says Game Rooms, RA Game, App Center, Favorites, History, Search Settings. Okay, let's see. No files. No files. Music. That was another thing. This can apparently play. It's not a touchscreen. Why did I try that? Music. It can play video files. Lots of different stuff. Apparently, it can, so many things. One thing that really stuck out to me on the trailer that Anbernic put out for this is that it can play Black Myth Wukong, and maybe it's streaming it. I'm not really sure, but that's a brand new game. Game of the Year contender this year for 2024. And it was showing the person playing, whether that was streaming or not, that on the new Anbernic device, which is really crazy. Let's see, can this play? Pause. Yeah, that's the song it was playing in the trailer as well. Okay, how do I get out of here? And here's the M button, which is another new button here. M for menu. Close the app. Video. I guess this is the trailer. I have to turn the volume down because my baby's sleeping right over there. I think this is the exact same trailer as the Anbernic device. I'm gonna turn the volume down. But the screen, obviously, night and day difference between the two. So obviously I haven't upgraded the screen on the Game Boy Advance yet, but this is the major difference. This is one thing. Oh, there's lots of stats here on screen. That's one major thing that most people do when they're modding a Game Boy Advance. The biggest thing is they're changing the screens, cleaning it up, changing capacitors, changing the speakers, maybe adding audio amps. But the screen is the major thing, as well as shells and that kind of stuff. So this comes with that automatically. Right out the gate, you have a brand new device with a brand new bright LCD screen. I believe it's a laminated screen. I'm not sure if it's OLED. I think it's, no, like I said, it's IPS. So yeah, this thing comes in right now. They have 4 different colors that it comes in. Black, the indigo, which is like the original Game Boy Advance color, the transparent red, which is really nice, and then this one that I saw that I fell in love with, which is the transparent green. Green's my favorite color, so I love the way this looked, and I had to grab this one. So that's the 4 colors you can get right now. However, actually no, I was gonna say maybe I could change the shells with some Game Boy Advance parts, but no, the shells are very different. I think I could do at least the buttons for now, and like the side trim pieces, I could probably change them to some replacement Game Boy Advance parts. Well, I'll have to check it and find out. I'll make another video on that later. So essentially, this thing, it's, you know, it's a Game Boy Advance that came out in 2024, but better, made for emulation, loading on a bunch more games, much more powerful than this. Clearly 24 years later. I think this was released in 2001, if I'm not mistaken. One thing that really jumped out at me, so of course this has a rechargeable battery, which is rechargeable by USB-C, which is only at the top of the console, which is fine. But it also comes with a mini HDMI output, so you can connect this to a monitor or a TV and play on the big screen. Play this on the big screen, which is really cool. Also, it showed more stuff in the trailer. Like you can stream games, you can play multiplayer games with this over Wi-Fi. It has Wi-Fi 2.4 and 5G. It's Bluetooth. You can connect Bluetooth controllers to this. So if you wanted to use this as a console to play on your TV with your friends, they could connect some Bluetooth controllers. So I could grab my, DualSense Edge, connect it to the Anbernic Game Boy Advance, and use this controller for another person to play the same game with me. And it was showing different games that were released within the last year or two. So Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge, they were playing together, local co-op on one TV. So lots of really cool features this thing came out with. I haven't put in, it came with, there's an option for you when you purchase it, it could come with a second SD card, and they don't explicitly say it on the website. In my case, this one that I bought also came, I believe, with some games on it. So let's check it out. So let's close the app. So this is the SD card, an optional SD card that I purchased, that I believe comes with, I think, emulators and games. And if not, you can just, of course, go about the legal way of dumping your own games that you own and putting those ROMs onto. Also, it comes with a cool lanyard. That's a feature. Game rooms. Oh boy. Oh, PSP, DS. Ooh, Neo Geo, V Arcade, CPS1. What is this? FB, Neo, MAME, Game Boy Advance, NES, Sega 32X, MD. Is that Mega Drive? SMS, SNES, Game Gear, WSC. What's WSC? Okay, let's go look for Easy. Nice. Game Boy Advance, and here we go. Oh, now I'm gonna go look for my favorite game here. Oh, it's starting! Chrono Trigger. Golden Sun. Isaac, wake up. Wow, lots of... They have Addams Family, they have Adventures of Batman and Robin, Grand Theft Auto 2. Hello. Press start. Which is the start button? Start. So it came loaded with some ROMs and some emulators. That's nice. Nice surprise. I didn't know that was coming at all. Oh, they didn't put any Pokemon ROMs on this. Super cool. Awesome that it came loaded with emulators and games and ROMs. I can pick up and play out of the box. I have no idea what the battery level is. Looks like it's almost full. Looks like it's like 4 out of 5 bars. I haven't connected it to Wi-Fi yet. Maybe I have to download an update. I'm not sure. But for right now, I think that's a good place to leave it off. So first impressions, it feels like a Game Boy Advance, but it's more powerful than my Windows 98 computer, which is what I was playing all my games on back in the day, where I was emulating Super Nintendo games, Dragon Ball Z Hyper Dimension, where I was emulating Chrono Trigger, when I was emulating all of these games, all these Pokemon games, back in my house when I was, how long ago was that? I would have been 10 years old and just sitting at the family computer, downloading LimeWire, eating Doritos, getting that Allura Red in my system, and enjoying the games at that time. Now here I can do that right here in my hand. It can fit in my pocket. I can carry it around on my cool 1998 lanyard and just enjoy this thing. I forgot to mention $63. $63. So the original Game Boy Advance came out for $100. Of course, there's the Nintendo tax and all that stuff. But this is for me, this is a great jumping on point for emulation. You can get much more powerful devices that emulate things better than this will. But for me, I love the form factor of the Game Boy Advance. There's so many portrait, like vertical devices that you can emulate on, but I've always liked this horizontal. My hands are a little bit bigger. They're gonna get cramped if I'm holding a small device like this. This is comfortable. It, like I said, it'll fit in my pocket. It'll fit in any bag, and it just works out of the box, and I love that. It feels good. It feels premium. Everything works. I need to get a cable. I need to do some more testing. I need to connect it to Wi-Fi, see if there's any downloads, any updates. I'm going to connect it to a TV, play some games on a TV, on a monitor, and I'm going to make a review video and come back soon with that. So I'm going to put the link for this in the description if you want to pick it up. It's an affiliate link. Come back for more. Subscribe for more. Come back and see the full review when it's up. It'll be much more in-depth, but I'm really happy with this right now. For something that's less than $70, actually it's $70. The first 3 days you could pre-order it was $63. Now it's $70 US if you want to purchase that. So super easy, super good quality, easy to use. I'm in love. Leave me a comment. Let me know if I chose the right color or if you would have chosen something else. As well as in the next video, I'm going to mention, I'm going to find some buttons replacements and see if I can modify this and make it more my way. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.